podcast readers and listeners. This is your host, JT, and I have two very special guests with me that I'm very excited to have on. First off, I'm going to go ahead and say, Ashley, you have the floor, you have the mic. Tell people what's going on with you, yourself, the podcast, things like that. And then we'll get to Tay right after you.
All right, so for those of y'all who don't know me, my name is Ashley. I go by EMC_Abrams on Twitter. I write for two media outlets. I write for all things Tampa Bay Bucks. I also write for NFL Fan Blitz. I have my own podcast called Talk the Plank. And yeah, other than that, I just talk football pretty much all the time. I'm kind of annoying, but it's all good. And yeah, I mean,
no problem with yeah, so definitely check her podcast out. I love women who talk football. I mean, I feel like sports has such a big place for women who talk football because it's such a thing to where you don't think like me myself. I got into football not from my dad or my grandpa or my brother. I got into football from my grandmother, so I can relate to women talking football and knowing the game and things like that. So I'm very excited to have both of you on. So now we'll move on to Tay. Go ahead and tell the people a little bit about yourself and what you have going on and things like that.
Okay, well, my name is Paige, for those of you that don't know me, but I go by _Tay25 on Twitter. And like Ashley said, I have my own podcast as well, Tay's Football Take. So I'm still working on that, trying to get that off the ground. And I'm just a girl that loves football, and I love the game, and I have a passion for it, and I always have. So that's a little bit about me.
That's awesome. I actually seen that you had for the people that don't know, you actually had one of your tweets on I think it was Pat to the Draft, was it?
Oh,
Or
yes.
was it the NFL Network?
That it was Path to the Draft, and I actually didn't catch it until somebody brought it to my attention, and I had to rewatch it, and I was like, oh, that's my tweet. So that was real exciting.
Yeah, like you made it,
I grew up watching this show, so to have them actually acknowledge my tweet, I was like hyped. So
Yeah, that's awesome. That is so awesome. That is something that we all. I actually watch ESPN and NFL all the time, and I post things like that. And I'm like, man, I hope I see my tweet streaming on the little bottom banner there.
I
But
know.
I'm glad to have both of you on because you both are very, very passionate Bucks fans, and you're putting in the work to have your own podcast. Also, I'm sure both of you have very demanding jobs, and it's very hard to balance it. So I'm right there with you with the grind and the struggle, and I'm ready to talk some Bucks football with you guys. You ready?
Let's get it.
oh yeah.
Okay, so one of the things I really wanted to talk about because it's something that has been kind of a lingering question since Jameis Winston has been since he was drafted, with all his transgressions, and then also something that happened to him in his freshman or his rookie season, which wasn't brought to light until maybe a year or so later. He was accused of multiple things, and I wanted to know what it's like to support Jameis Winston. And I'm a full Jameis Winston supporter. I have been since high school, and I'm a Florida State fan, so obviously I have a little bias. But I want to know what it's like to support Jameis Winston as a woman, as a Buccaneer fan, about his past transgressions. I want to hear from both you. Maybe you can kind of give me some insight, and maybe some other women some insight, maybe from a perspective that they don't even really think about. So whoever wants to take the floor first, go ahead.
Go ahead, Tay.
I look at it like this. Coming out of Florida State, he had a lot of character concerns and whatnot, and rightfully so. But I believe in second chances, and I feel like, nobody's perfect. We all make mistakes. And he's very young, 25 years old, a lot of room to grow, and I think he's done that. So my support will always be with him. and I wish him nothing but the best. We just want to see him succeed for
Hmm.
the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Has the quarterback, has the, the franchise. We're depending on him, so he knows that. And I think that all of this is behind him, and I think people just need to move on.
Yep, that makes a ton of sense, and I completely agree with you. You know, people who throw stones often live in a glass house, and it's funny because their transgressions will never be maybe as publicized or as overblown because they're not a famous person in a spotlight. And the thing is, it's easy to do that behind a keyboard and things like that until you know all the facts. I feel like you can't really make a I mean, you can make a judgment based decision on how you feel as him as a person, but like I said, I've never met him in person. I don't know him as a person, but I mean, eventually, when you hear enough about a person on how they are, and then these things happen, you kind of have to think, okay, this is just a dumb, immature thing for him to be putting himself in a
Mm-hmm.
situation to where I don't know what the problem is. We don't really know what the problem is. We may never know. The NFL has this kind of sealed. So whatever he did or is accused of being doing or have done, we'll never know. So it's we just need to move on, let the young man live his life. He's facing a lot of pressure. But Ashley, I'm curious to hear from you.
Well, for myself, personally, I don't really have a college football team. I went to a community college to become an EMT, so I don't really I don't really have any bias when it comes to being, FSU, USF. I don't really carry that with me.
I hear you.
But it definitely wasn't anything you could ignore coming out of college.
Right.
When Jameis Winston got drafted, I was just getting out of high school. So, it was a Mariota versus Jameis Winston show. Who should be the quarterback of Tampa Bay Bucks, picked
Hmm.
first overall? Who should lead that franchise? And I think, with him having that stigma around him, that reputation, that stain on his almost like you look at a picture of him and you see that stain of, oh, he did this in college and now he's accused of groping the Uber driver. I think his issues in college made him a target,
Right.
and I'm a firm believer that sexual
Very
assault is
well
nothing
said.
to be messed around with. But there's no I can't see myself not supporting Jameis when there's no real evidence. There's a lot of circumstantial stuff. I think him as a player, he's been having this black cloud over his head of where he
Yes.
just can't get out from anybody's bad rep for him. People think of Jameis Winston who aren't Tampa Bay Bucks fans and automatically think, oh, he's this, he's that, he's terrible. I
Right.
think he's been let down a lot by coaches. I think coaches haven't believed in him. I think he's had some sour players kind of around him, but at the same time he's also had his own struggles, and I think that stems from he had such high reputation coming out of college being the star at FSU, and then you get to the big leagues and you start struggling a little bit. I think that got in his head a little bit. But I think last season towards the end when he really turned it on and, started playing his own game, you didn't see him forcing throws. He, was checking it down the field. He'd just take off and run with it. I think that's what we'll see a lot of this season with him. Now that he's going to be in a more relaxed role. He has a coach that he knows believes in him and,
Right.
really wants to see him succeed. So, you know, a woman coming from a woman's perspective, when someone's accused of sexually assaulting a woman, it kind of takes you back a little bit. Like, wow, like I'm a fan of this team, a fan of this player, and now he's accused of this. Now, obviously, if there was things to come to light like actual proof, my views might be a little bit different on him. But I think that it's a mixture of him being an immature young guy. He's not much older than I am. I'm 23 years old. I'm pretty sure he's what 20, 25. Like I've done dumb things back in my day. I've been in tough situations, and I just think that he's struggled both as a man and as a player, but he's definitely come around. I think in my eyes, someone who's growing up before all of us. Honestly, I
Yes.
think he'll be just fine if people could just focus on Jameis Winston the player and not focus on Jameis Winston the guy accused of things. It wasn't like he was found guilty of anything. That's just
Yeah,
how I look at it.
yeah, that's very good points. And like you said, there's an outside looking in type deal to this because obviously we're very close to the team and we read every single report and we see all the good and we see this, we see that. So it's easy for us to root for him, but there's people who really don't give a shit about what he's doing in the community. They just see him as this, and that's what they label him as. And he may never shake that persona to some, but that's okay because like you said, until there's some cold hard proof, um, I can only judge him by the character that I've seen and that he's shown and the player that he is, and he's the leader of the franchise right now, and he's getting his final shot. And I like both you guys' perspective on that. That's something I really wanted to kind of bring to light, just for maybe if there are some female listeners who listen to my show who maybe have a different stance on him. Maybe they root for the team, not for Jameis, and maybe hearing it from a woman's perspective, they can kind of, maybe it won't change their opinion, but see how it goes from there. But since I got that, I want to know a little bit more about you guys. I haven't had a chance to listen to either of your podcasts, so just for the listeners of my show that haven't heard you guys' show, I want to know how you both became Bucks fans. So we'll go ahead and move the mic over to Tay, and you can go ahead and go first, and we'll start from there.
Well, how I became a Bucks fan, I just love football in general, and since I grew up in the Tampa Bay area, it was kind of, that's the team that you rock with. And then it helped. My uncle played Alvin Harper, wide receiver. He played for the Bucks. Had a little brief stint with them.
Oh wow!
On a not so good years, but
that's something to hang your hat on, though. You were in the league.
Yes. But that didn't have anything to do with me loving the Bucks. I just love them because I love them, and I will always support and just show that passion that I have for them. But that's the home team, so I have to represent.
That's awesome. Yeah, like I said, I'm a Tampa Bay Bucks fan since I was probably about 5-6 years old. I've been a Florida State fan forever. My grandmother had me in front of a TV watching the Bucks in Florida State since I can remember. They took me to games. I mean, it's a 5-hour drive from it's a 5-hour drive from Lakeland to Tallahassee, and to take a 5-6-year-old kid and basically have him in a stadium, you don't know how that's going to turn out. I might have had a horrible time and been crying the whole time, but I loved it. I fell in love with the game of football, and I've been watching the Bucks ever since I can remember. I've kind of got away from football once I was in middle school. Pretty much probably a couple years after they won the Super Bowl, I got away from it. A little kid, but then I got really, really heavy back into it. So yeah, ever since then though, my fandom and my passion has grown, and that's what started me to do this podcast. So Ashley, let me hear how you became a Bucks fan, and go ahead.
Well, technically, I was a Jets fan when I was younger.
Whoa!
My dad is huge. Let me explain. My dad is a huge Jets fan. Huge Jets fan. Like, this man is the diehards of the diehards, okay? When I tell you this man has signed pictures, signed Joe Namath,
Broadway
all
Joe.
the hats, all the helmets, But, I grew up with my dad, basically, just mostly my dad. A single parent home for most of my life until, people came in and all that stuff. But, that was our way of bonding, was football. So,
That's awesome.
Every Sunday I'd sit on the couch with him and, I'd be like, what you watching? He's football, and he'd start teaching me some things, and, oh, that guy does this, and just how excited he got, made me want to learn more so I could, watch it with him. And it wasn't until my stepbrother came into the picture that, we didn't watch just the Jet games. We watched the Bucks game as well. He'd, have all of his friends over, and, he's a cool older brother. He's 6 years older than me, so, I'd come out and sit with him, and, I didn't know what was going on, but it was still time to, spend with them, and that's how I got more into football, was I wanted to know what was going on so I could impress him a little bit. So I'd start watching every single game that was on TV. It could be any team. It could be any time, any day. Didn't matter if it was preseason. I would look at stats. I'd watch ESPN for hours. Like, it just became something that I wanted to share with both the guys in my life at that time, being so young. So
The way of
that's
life.
how I became a Bucks fan. I
That
actually
is awesome.
I
The way
actually
of
didn't become a
life,
Bucks
right?
fan until after they won the Super Bowl. I didn't come a
Hey,
fan
it
until about
happens. Don't be ashamed. It
2005.
happens.
Yeah. It does. I was a Cowboys fan too, so hey.
Oh
Oh
well,
no! Oh
well,
no!
Love the
well,
Cowboys.
well. Trust me, there are many Patriots fans right now who weren't a Patriots fan until maybe 2 or 3 Super Bowls ago. So you guys aren't saying nothing. Hey, you're a fan of the team. You're a fan of the team, and that's no problem. Hey, it happens.
Right.
But either way,
I mean, I
that's
was young
awesome.
enough in my
The
defense.
way of life,
I was
you
a
know?
baby in my defense.
Football is the way
So
of life. Like, that's what we do. We
yeah,
watch it,
it's
we
a
talk
way of
it,
life.
it's an everyday thing for me. People are like, you're a female and you love football. That is so weird. Like, I've been out here, excuse my language, but
Well,
I've
hey, no
been out
problem.
here in the football field. It's the norm for me. That's what I do. It's like a
I
job. I wake up thinking about who we gonna draft. I wonder this team gonna trade up, trade down. How I draft and
I don't know. I don't
ESPN
know.
network.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys are like me, but I wake up and like my first thing is like I get on Twitter. Like, okay, what did I miss? You know what I mean? Like I have to be like up to date. Like my
Yeah, same
girlfriend, like I hardly even get on Facebook anymore. Like I abuse my Facebook. I get on there to watch funny videos and things like that, but like I pretty much stay on Twitter just looking
here.
at Bucks things, this and that, doing research.
Yeah, me too. Twitter is addicting though, especially
It
because I'm on here
is.
basically talking sports. So it's like I can't even hardly go to sleep sometimes because I'm always trying to refresh my Twitter and
Mm-hmm.
see what's going on, and with the NFL, and I don't even have a Facebook, so
Well,
I'm just
that's good for you. That's very good for you. I need to break away from it too.
just Twitter and Instagram. I keep it simple.
Okay, well, since we got the introductions out of the way, let's get to the nitty gritty. I kind of want to start off with kind of the most pressing thing right now because the Bucks are sitting at around a couple million, and we still need about 8, 9 to sign draft picks.
Mm-hmm.
So naturally, the biggest discussion right now is Gerald McCoy. Now, I'm going to give you my stance on Gerald McCoy before I let you guys give your opinions, just because I kind of want to get off my chest because it's kind of been eating at me. Um, I personally, I don't like the section of Bucks fans on Twitter who don't appreciate him. Because I'm a person who watches film, so I can see how impactful he still is. Now I know there's stat guys out there who only want to watch the box score and say, okay, Gerald McCoy had no sacks today. He didn't do anything. He's still a very capable player. And just the fact that we're sitting here talking about there's a chance that he could be cut or traded because of money. And I think that's such a slap in the face because you have a guy who JPP. Now, I love JPP. He broke the sack curse, the double digit sack curse. I love that. But at the same time, you're paying this dude almost the same money you're paying Gerald McCoy. You're talking about shipping Gerald McCoy out, and JPP is a first year player for the Bucks. You know what I mean? I just feel like that's kind of a slap in the
Mm-hmm.
face, especially considering I went back today. I was on Pro Football Reference, and I was just going back. I went to 2018. I went all the way back to 2010. I looked at the stats from the defensive line as far as like tackles for loss and sacks and everything goes. Gerald McCoy was almost always the person who was producing, and you surrounded him with guys like Henry Melton, Tony McDaniel, Howard Jones, Jacques Smith. You had a bunch of these patchwork guys. You never gave Gerald a legit chance to thrive, and people hate on him because he's not Aaron Donald. You don't have to be Aaron Donald to be a very, very good player. And I feel like it's just disrespectful that the Bucs wasted Gerald McCoy's prime, and you finally want to address the D-line. You know what I mean? You finally want to address the D-line. You got Carl Nassib, you got JPP, you got Vita Vea, whatever. You got Vinny Curry, Bo Allen. You finally went after the defensive line hard, and you wasted Gerald's good years. So if the Bucs end up cutting or trading him just for money issues, I don't know. I'm gonna be very upset with not only the Glazers, Bruce Arians, and Jason Light. And that's just kind of my take on it. And I understand it's a business, but for a guy who's done so much for the community, and some fans just don't like him just because he's a nice guy. Warren Sapp is like the measuring stick, you know what I mean? So he's always never gonna live up to the expectations in their own mind. But like I've said 1,000 times on this podcast, I can think of plenty of fan bases that would love to take Gerald McCoy off our hands. So that's kind of just my stance on it. I don't know if you guys have any opinions that are any different, but I just want to get that off my chest.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think you said it best. If you look at Gerald McCoy's career, he did great things on some really bad teams that the Bucs had. And we didn't, like you said, we didn't surround him with the players that he needed to succeed. The defense needed to succeed in a whole. So with that being said, we wasted his prime year. And now it's like, oh, well, let's trade McCoy or let's release him, whatever they're going to do. I don't know if they're going to find a trade partner for him or not, but it's sad, and I understand it's a business, but when you lose someone like McCoy, it's going to really show.
Yeah, I feel like
you better have a good replacement.
Yes. I feel like there's a moral to the story, and I would love to keep Gerald McCoy and draft someone like Ed Oliver or something like that. And I don't want to get too much into that because that's kind of like my last segment I wanted to go over with you guys. But if we do end up keeping McCoy and we draft a defensive tackle, I feel like that would be more my appropriate way to send him off, kind of have his replacement, but still letting him play, than to just send him off and hoping you draft somebody else who might have an impact as good as him or might not. Ashley, how do you feel?
I mean, like you guys said, Gerald McCoy was the only kind of defensive player the Bucs had since coming into the league. When you thought of Tampa Bay defense since he's entered the league, there was really only Gerald McCoy on that line. Like you said, you have a bunch of nobodies really on that line with him.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like at this point, he's the scapegoat. He's the last person the Bucs, the general manager, the fans can blame until it starts being is it the Glazers' fault? Is it Light's fault? Is it Dirk Cutter? Is it Raheem Morris? Is it Greg Schiano? Whose fault is it? Why can't, after 11, 12 years, why can't they get back to the playoffs? And like you said, I am a big Gerald McCoy supporter. I think he needs to get more respect for what he's done for this team. Yes. A lot of people don't understand that as a nose tackle, he's not the same as an edge player. He's not. But the biggest problem for Gerald McCoy is that he gets compared to Aaron Donald and Ndamukong Suh. I truly don't see the hype around Suh. I mean, he was good back in Miami. Or who did he play for first? The Lions?
Yeah, he played for the Lions. Well, the whole thing with Suh and Gerald McCoy is they were in the same draft, and their game is completely different. Yeah, their game is completely different. Ndamukong Suh is just more of a big physical, I'm going to move you out of my way. Gerald McCoy was a technical guy, super quick get off, and he still has a super quick get off. Like I said, I'm a big film guy. I watch film. You can say Gerald McCoy only had 6 sacks. You only had that, blah, blah, blah. I mean, okay, so I did research. I did a little bit of research today for the show. So I went and looked at, obviously I can't compare him to Aaron Donald because he's a whole different player. But Fletcher Cox, he's someone who's making around the same money as Gerald McCoy. Now, Fletcher Cox came in the league a couple years later. Okay, so 16 games, 10.5 sacks. That's his first time getting double-digit sacks. That's his first time. 33 solo tackles, 12 tackles for loss, and 34 quarterback hits. That was last year. Gerald McCoy, he only played 14 games. 6 sacks, 17 solo tackles, 6 tackles for loss, 21 quarterback hits. Now, he's never broke double digits, but how can you expect him to do that? I mean, you also got to think that some sacks come from just you fall into the quarterback. You know what I mean? But I mean, if you want to sit here and compare stats, that's not the way you go about evaluating a player. It's just not. You have to watch. You have to watch the film. You have to watch the games. I mean, you can't just say, okay, this guy's stats are about the same for less money or the same money. You know what I mean? I don't feel like that's the right way to evaluate a player, especially someone like Gerald, who has been a staple to this Buccaneers defense. And not only that, just a face of the franchise, a leader in the community. I mean, if it wasn't for him and Levante David, I don't even know where this team would be as far as national recognition. He might not even never get a 1:00 game, it's or a primetime game. You know what I mean? We'd always be on 1:00. You know what I mean?
And the biggest problem for McCoy, honestly, he's always going to be compared to Sapp. He's always going to compare to Simeon Rice. They can't just be themselves because and I love Gerald. I love Sapp and the guys who came before him, but he's going to constantly be compared to them. And you can sit here and take stats all you want. I post a lot of stats on Twitter, things that I see, but at the same time, ball don't lie.
Yeah, ball doesn't lie.
Does not lie.
Yes.
Stats are great, but you have to remember that McCoy was hurt for a majority of his career. And, he's injury prone. No, he's throwing his body, taking double teams every single play. He has the torn biceps. He has ankle issues. He's worn down. I would be worn down too.
And who else did they have to help him? Oh,
yes.
I'll wait.
Nobody.
Yeah, like I said.
Nobody?
Yeah, like I said, they had the Henry Meltons and the Jacques Smiths and the Howard Joneses, guys like that, and I posted on Twitter, and I'm gonna stand by it. The best player that he probably had on his line was Clinton McDonald, which was the longest free agent by Jason Light as far as staying out of his contract or living out his contract, and Michael Bennett, who they let go. So, I mean, if you look at it that way, that's a horrible, horrible blemish on the organization, not just Mark Dominic and Greg Schiano and all of them. That's a blemish on the Glazers. And that's just the way I see it,
I agree.
Yeah. So let's move on. Hold on. My animals are acting up. Hey, chill out, man. We're recording. You get your moment. All right. So what I wanted to ask you guys is what excites you about the new staff? Bruce Arians, maybe what they're saying, maybe the scheme, maybe the player goals you have for yourself in your head. I mean, what excites you from this new staff to the old staff?
Well, for me, I would have to definitely say Bruce Arians and the staff that he brought in. I think that they will play to the players' strength, which is key, because so many years we had coaches that they didn't know how to adapt to the players. Like, that's the number one thing for me. So I'm excited to see how they come in and coach these players up, and can they get them to reach the Pro Bowl level that we all thought they would achieve under the old staff.
Uh-huh.
So we'll see.
Yeah, maybe not try to fit a square peg into a round hole. Vernon Hargraves, he's a press man corner, and you want to keep playing him in zone where he's not meant to play. Yeah. I mean, you want to have all these you want to have all these stunts and things like that on the defensive line. You don't want to have Levante David blitzing, which he's shown that he's such a great blitzer. I mean, you want to have you can go on and on and on and on and on and on. You can go down the line.
They never made adjustments. Like, you come into the second half of the game and teams knew we weren't gonna adjust to anything. So we're gonna throw it down the field. We're gonna just score. We're gonna run it up. We're gonna run the scoreboard up because we know that they don't make adjustments.
Yeah, and the thing to me is, like, you never want to be a fan calling a coach or a player out, because, like, obviously there's so much more to it. Like, they know more about football, or they forgot more about football than we'll ever know. But sometimes the fans say stuff and it ends up leaking out that we were right and we're not so stupid after all. You know what I mean? So, I
Yeah.
mean, sometimes you see things and you're like, why are they doing this? Why are they doing this? And the coaches always come out and they have that cliche coach speak, and you end up as a fan being right. So
I think
I'm
we've
just
enough to
hoping,
it.
yeah, I'm just hoping that as new staff, in my opinion, I'm hoping the new staff literally does what they say they're going to do and play to the player's strengths. Because I feel like the last staff was saying that and doing the complete opposite. And you don't even have to be the most knowledgeable football fan ever. Sometimes you can just see when something's predictable and you can call it out. And if a fan sitting at home that's not getting paid millions of dollars to figure out a defense or figure out an offense can call certain things out, then I know the other team knows. You know what I mean, Ashley?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for me, I am 100% in on Bruce Arians. Sign me up.
Mm-hmm.
I'll put it in ink. I don't know if y'all have watched the oh my god,
All or
Making the
nothing?
Cardinals. Yes, 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 yes.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what
I
I
love it.
I
I love it.
I watched the whole thing in like 2 days because I couldn't get enough of watching this guy coach these players up.
He reminds
And
me
I
of my
think
grandfather.
So
Just
he's
don't
had
piss
so
him
much
off.
swag. He's not
I
no
think the
BS, but he's
biggest
gonna
change
tell it like it is.
I think the biggest change that Bruce Arians is going to bring to this team is accountability. Because Dirk Cutter, Greg Schiano, Raheem Morris, any coach you want to talk about they haven't made these players play for their actions. You had guys like Brent Grimes who legitimately was playing 13, 14 yards off the ball, didn't want to cover anybody, was never rushing to the ball. You had guys like Deshaun Jackson, who I'll get into that in a second, who was super frustrated with the team and didn't want to play. You had this guy who's one of the best wide receivers in the league. You just had him run go routes for 95% of his routes. Do you know how many times he'd win a slant route? 100% of the time. You know how
Yeah,
many
or
times he's
drag.
going to get positive yards on a drag, on an end around, on anything, getting the ball into space into his hands? Like you said, you have Levante David, who's one of the best blitzing linebackers in the league. You got Mike Evans, who can run any route that you ask him to. Chris Godwin was stuck behind Deshaun Jackson, who was giving maybe 40%. Like, there's not, like you said, Vernon Hargreaves is a press man cornerback, and so is Carlton Davis. You're just throwing these schemes out there that you think will win when you don't have the players.
It's
You have the
coach's
players
ego.
with the
It's a
ability.
coach's ego is
Yeah.
what it is.
But now it all has to come together. Like we have the coaching staff in place, and hopefully
There's no
they'll
excuses now.
It for me. I want to see it all come together because I'm tired of talking about it. I actually want to see it on the field. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. Yep.
It's time to put up or shut up.
Yeah,
Simple as that.
and the funny thing is like every single time this happens, we all buy in and we all expect this, we all expect that. This time, I really feel like it's different because, okay, Dirk Cutter, he brought our offense to new heights, so obviously he was the most logical hire. And honestly, I don't dislike Dirk Cutter. I just feel like sometimes coordinators are meant to be coordinators and coaches are meant to be coaches. And Bruce Arians has had
Yeah.
success everywhere he went. So I mean, it's only
If
logical
he
to
can't get
think,
the job done,
yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I always drink the Kool-Aid in the off season. Everyone starts off 0-0, and we didn't
Yeah.
really win the off season. You know what I mean? We were expecting splash hires or splash free agents, which I kind of wasn't expecting some splash free agents because I figured we would be cutting people to re-sign Humphreys and Quan, which didn't end up working out. And that's all fine and good. I don't want to go down that rabbit trail because it kind of upsets me. But that's what happens. But at the same time, I'm excited for the free agents we brought in. Most importantly, I'm excited for Shaq Barrett. I am very excited for Shaq Barrett. He's going to be an awesome outside linebacker for us. He was basically living off scraps in that Broncos defense. And if you look at his snap counts and the production he had with the snap counts, just imagine if he had a full workload. And that's one of the people I'm most excited about. So the Bucs basically brought in a bunch of guys who can fit a role, and they're relatively cheap, kind of prove it deals and things like that. So they didn't make any splashes. And they couldn't afford to anyways. But like I said, every time the offseason rolls around, we drink the Kool-Aid. I just want this staff to, they can say all the right things all they want, and I sometimes get caught up in it too. But until the ball is snapped on the first game of regular season, I'm just gonna have to wait and see. I can't set myself up for failure again. You know what I mean? I'm emotionally damaged. We're in an abusive relationship with these Bucks.
I
You know
agree
who's
with
gonna
you.
be
I'm right there with you.
even, you know who's gonna be even bigger signing, and no one's gonna see it coming?
What's that?
Bradley Pinion. Bradley Pinion, the kicker.
Oh wow, we got some kicker talk here.
Bradley Pinion, come on down. This man is about to change the field position game for the Bucks on both sides of the ball. I can't wait. Brian Anger's been getting worse. Listen, I love Brian Anger. He's got the perfect last name, but Bradley Pinion is about to save us. It's gonna be great.
Wow, yeah,
Brian Anger,
that's awesome.
Anger
That's
just
awesome.
couldn't, Anger just couldn't pin it, like he
Man,
used
punters
to.
need love too, man.
Hunters,
yeah.
listen, Bradley Pinion, if you're listening, you
Especially
got love. You got love in Tampa.
Yeah.
Especially the Bucks. We need all the help we can.
Yeah, the thing with Brian Anger is like, okay, so his average is or Pinion's average is actually not as great as Anger's average, but the thing is, he is two-dimensional. He can cover the kickoffs now. So Kyra Santos only has to worry about kicking the ball through the uprights. He doesn't have to worry about kicking it down the field after a touchdown or a field goal. So that's a plus in its own. And I love that actually, because the special teams need love too. There's a lot of third, fourth string players who only get to play on special teams, and hey man, they got to get some respect.
Listen, I posted a video that I found of Bradley Pinion before he got drafted in 2015 of him bombing punts from his 20 to the opposing 15, 20-yard line. If he can get back to that, whoo, Lord, we're never going to have to worry about it.
I'm looking forward to it. If I can get happy about somebody punting on this Bucks team, then I'm all for it. I'm all for it. It's great. So it is obviously the slow season right now. There's not much news. I mean, we grasp to any straw we can for any information, but the draft is coming so close. And we hold the number 5 overall pick. I'm sure you girls have been doing your research. Who are your draft wishes for the 5th overall pick? Do you want to trade back? Maybe if we trade back, who are you thinking? Do you think we should outright take somebody? Is there somebody you're hoping that would fall? Let me hear what you guys got to say.
Well, okay. Well, for me, who I'm hoping will fall, but I doubt it. Of course, 2 of the big 3. That's Williams from Alabama.
Oh
Josh
yeah.
Allen. I would love to have Josh Allen because I feel he would be a perfect fit for Todd Bowles' system. But that's just me. I would love to have him. But if we can't get him, I'm big on Devin White.
Big on Devin White.
I really am. I'm a huge fan of his game, and he's only been playing the position for 3 years. So
yeah, he was also he was a running back.
Yeah, so his upside, his potential is off the roof. So at 5, if we stay at 5, I would go with White. But if we trade down, maybe to 12 to Miami, I would grab Devin Bush. Levante David comparison.
Oh man,
can't go wrong.
Oh yeah, yes,
Devin Bush
because they're
at 12 with extra picks.
Yeah. That is the dream. That is the dream. I'm coming around on Devin White. I wasn't as big on him at first, because we just let go of Quan Alexander, and Devin White misses a lot of tackles and things like that. But I think Quan Alexander's potential and Devin White's potential is completely different. A lot of people are saying they've seen Ray Lewis and Devin White, and like I can't really compare players, anything like that, because I wasn't in that era watching them. But if you're telling me that Devin White could be a top 3, top 4 linebacker in this league, maybe the missing piece to the puzzle, I wouldn't mind taking a Devin White. I would love Quinnen Williams. I mean, I would love to keep Gerald McCoy, get Quinnen Williams, and have that heir apparent next to Vita Vea. If I traded down though, I would love to have Brian Burns. JPP has not. I mean, he was injured all last year. He had a lot of pressures, a lot of sacks, things like that. Carl Nassib's a 1-year wonder. I would love to have Brian Burns come off the edge. Maybe be there for a year or two behind Carl Nassib. Maybe JPP wants to play some more. That would be my dream scenario.
Can't go wrong with either.
No, you can't go wrong with either. And that's the beauty of sitting at number 5, because there's a lot of talent, especially defensively, in the top-heavy part of it. Ashley, what is your opinion?
I might make some people angry.
Uh-oh.
I might have to make some people angry. All right. So
you're not going to defensive back, are you?
Oh, no. None like that. But now, if the Bucs stay at 5, like Terry said, Josh Allen for me is number 1. If Josh Allen would be the top guy that I would like. The second guy I would love to have is Quinnen Williams out of Alabama. Those two are my top 2, in that order, Josh Allen, Quinnen Williams. Now, if the Bucs had to stay at 5, and I'm saying can't find anybody to trade down with because I think Miami's not going to move up. I think they're going to tank for Tua. # tank for Tua. They can't find someone to draft down like with Washington. They can't find someone to draft down, anybody at all. 5th overall, we're talking about 5th overall, Ed Oliver. It's got to be Ed Oliver.
Yeah, I'm excited for him too. I really would love him too.
And the only reason why I say this is because the only reason I say that is because you got to think about it. JPP did wonders for this team last year, but Father Time is undefeated. And even if they do keep Gerald McCoy, Father Time is undefeated. You need to build the trenches right now while you can.
Yep.
And there's a lot of talk about Ed Oliver playing, linebacker, kind of like a hybrid position. But this man off the edge that just blows me away. And quite honestly, I don't see Devin White, at 5. Now, I think, would I be mad if we took him at 5? Absolutely not. He's going to be a great player and he has the instincts, but I believe he's very raw still in his talent. Like you said, he reminds me more of Quan than anybody because of the way, the tenacity, the speed he plays with, but he also, sometimes bites at the bit and he misses tackles that he should make. He has the motor, and I'd be very happy to have him in Peter and Red, but for me, it would have to, it would make more sense to trade back
Right.
in any sense. I think trading back is the best move for the Bucs, get more draft capital, get an extra second and an extra 4th. But, I'd be happy with any of those 4 guys, but for me, top 4 would have to go Josh Allen, Quinnen Williams, Ed Oliver at 5, and then Devin White.
Yeah.
If we can move back right away and get Devin White, then I am 100% Devin White. Sign me up.
Yep.
But at 5, those are my
picks,
top 3 guys.
More picks to replace Quan. And the Ed Oliver thing, I love Ed Oliver, and I would love to have Quinnen Williams more. But Ed Oliver to me he's so very intriguing because obviously he would be a Gerald McCoy replacement because he's a defensive tackle. But he played at Houston and he didn't have much help. But I mean, a lot of people say okay, he doesn't have the production to warrant that type of pick that high, especially coming from the AAC, things like that. It's okay, but you got to understand, he might be the best player in that whole conference. And he was getting in the backfield consistently, double teams or not. So, I mean, I could see the Ed Oliver pick being legit. I really like that. That would be great for me. But the good thing is we're sitting so high, we're going to end up with a good player regardless we trade back or not. It's the later round picks that I really am excited for because that's more of the wild card. You don't really know exactly where they can go. They can go safety. They can go I mean, they can still go linebacker in the second round. There's no one saying that Devin Bush is a lock to go in the first round. He might go in the second. So that's kind of where I'm more excited to see, because the first round is more of like, okay, we're gonna get like one of 6 or 7 players, and they're all good. So I'm excited for that. Final thing before we finish this podcast, what do you guys think about the Jets uniforms? Because the reason why I ask is because the Bucs are probably looking forward to changing their thing maybe next year. It's kind of been reported, and these things takes time. They got to notify the league and everything like that. But what do you think about the Jets uniforms? I know you guys have seen them on Twitter. I think they're pretty good. They're simple. They're not too tacky. They don't have the alarm clock numbers like we have for some strange reason. You know what I mean? I like them. What do you guys think about the new era look?
They're decent. My
They're
favorite
decent.
ones.
Oh, that ain't
I,
good.
I love the black ones.
The black
Those
ones are
are my
good.
favorite.
They
I
kind of
think they
remind
were
me of the
really.
Jaguars though when they do the black ones.
Uh, I'm not crazy about the shoulder stripe on
Yeah, I'm not either. Just a single
on
stripe.
on. I don't know why they do that. Like it just throws it off. But other than that, I think they're okay.
Yeah, I think they're pretty good. I can
And
see
I
the
think
Bucks going for a more simplistic look. Like I said, I would love them to go back to the old ones, but maybe a little tweak, like we talked about on Twitter. But
so far,
I don't think they would do that. Yeah, I agree. What do you think,
like you
Ashley?
said, they don't have alarm clock rooms like we do.
No, yeah, no numbers.
Like Tay said, I love the all black ones and I love the all green ones. Like I said, the Jets are near and dear to my heart just for my old man, but they are just too simple. They look like every other college and high school green football team to me. It's
I,
just
Nike,
I
like
mean, I mean, you have a point.
for them
Nike
to
is
have
just
that big
drop
of
the
like
ball.
they had like a runway fashion show. They had like
Yeah.
one of that comedian guy come out and do DJing. I watched it from my computer, and I'm just like, you had all this come out just to do this? Like, I
Nike
could have
dropped the
designed
ball.
something better and more exciting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like
Why
it's just there's nothing new. There's nothing that screams New York Jets in that besides the name on the front of the jersey. Literally, that's the literal. Like nothing screams that this is the Jets jersey, and you can tell if you were 50 feet away.
Yeah, I
I'm not
haven't.
impressed with Nike.
Yeah, I haven't. The thing is, like, okay, with the Jets uniforms, they're fine. They're simple, whatever. But I still haven't really warmed up to the Bucks uniforms yet. The only ones I like is when they wear the red ones. I don't really like the white ones. I wish until they fix the uniforms that they would just wear their color rush uniforms all the time. That's just me. I don't know. Some people say they're tacky, but I think they look great. I think the color rush is awesome.
I just can't wait till we
Unpopular
have fresh
opinion:
new
the red is
uniforms.
fine.
Yes, yes.
We just need a fresh start, fresh new uniforms, fresh new everything.
Break
You know what
break
I'm
the
saying?
break the uniform curse, break the Matt Bryant curse, bring him back, break whatever curse you need to break. Just get this
Do it.
team back on track. I don't care what you have to do.
Yeah, I think a fresh new look would be ideal for this team. But we're not getting them this year, so I have to wait
Nope,
another year.
it'll be next year. We got to ride with what we got.
Something to look
Well,
forward to. So
well, I really had a lot of fun talking to you guys, getting to knowing you, and um, yeah, this was a lot of fun. I wish we had more time, but it is 10:30 and work does come early. So if there's anything else you guys want to say, or maybe what you guys have coming up or anything like that, this is the time to go ahead and get it off your chest.
okay,
Ash,
for everybody, make sure you.
anybody can answer.
Well, everybody that's listening, please make sure to follow me on Twitter at _Tay TAYE 25, and also make sure you follow my official podcast page. That's Tay's Take _ and stay tuned for more football talk from me. Maybe a couple articles here and there when I have time. But just stay tuned to be entertained.
Yep,
And thanks
that's
for
awesome.
having me on. I enjoyed the show.
No problem. We're gonna do this some more, especially during the season. You know, I look forward to having you guys on when there's actually something to really talk about, not just news and grasping at straws. We actually have some games to go over. Ashley, tell the people about what you got going on and things like that.
I actually should have my third episode of my podcast dropping tomorrow morning or sometime during tomorrow, I think. I'll actually have another 2 articles coming out in the next couple of days, one for each of ATB and NFL Fan Blitz. Other than that, I'm just working on getting some sponsorships for some stuff, so some exciting stuff that I can't speak on right now, but just know that the big things are coming. And I'm very excited and very grateful for the opportunity to come speak with both of y'all today. Tay, keep doing your thing. Y'all go follow my girl Tay.
All right. Well, it was awesome talking to both of you, and I hope you guys hope both of you guys have a very good night. And go Bucks, and I will talk to you soon.
All right, thank y'all.
Go Bucks.
See ya.
All right, bye-bye.